Hello guys. Welcome to Diablo the Primordial. This video is the continuation video after battle begins. So if you have not watched it, then please watch it. The link is in the description. And please check out my second channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates. It's you who need to be prepared. You need to stop the foolish delusions such as you defeating me, and you should immediately return to the darkness. And the two people fought each other and their fight reached a deadlock. Benimaru and Kazarium had broken through the barrier which Mizari had set up and also the city barrier. The two were now having a battle airspace high above. Kazarium begins to violently attacking Benimaru, taking the advantage of his enormous energy. The fight between a fellow spiritual life form could be said as a struggle to investigate the enemy's energy. One would win if they deprived the enemy of their power and decreased their existence power. His ultimate skill was means for that. Kazarium made Benimaru consume his energy by effectively releasing his ability. No, he was under impression that he did so. Well, how's it? You can't counterattack. What happened with your condescending attitude from before? Kazarium, who relied fully on his power, concentrated his energy to his fists and hits Benimaru repeatedly. For Kazarium, who'd been optimized by his ultimate skill Dominion Lord Melchizedek, he was convinced that the Octogram won't be his opponent. In fact, even Leon would be just like a baby in front of Kazarium. He was able to see that Mizari, who had been preaching before, was a worthless existence who could only receive a single blow from him. That's right. In front of his ultimate optimization called Holy Demonic Unification, which integrated the power of demon and angel, holy and demonic, he was confident that there was no angel nor demon that could be his equal. Kazarium thought that there was no reason for him to lose if himself was above in both quantity and the quality of the energy. In fact, he succeeded in offsetting Leon's holy strike and even Mizari's demon power equally and adding a counterattack. Even if Kazarium does nothing, his enemies would destroy themselves on their own. It was the counter-lapse that Kazarium had devised. Of course he activated it when he was attacked. He let the damage accumulate by offsetting the attack while depriving the enemy's energy by crashing his energy. He won't lose unless his enemy surpasses his energy. It was an ability that ensures certain victory. And, as one of the four fiends of the heavenly commanders who have the strongest power, Kazarium thought that there was no other existence that's more superior than himself. What happened? Are you unable to do anything when I get serious? When you realized about my power, it has already be too late, you see. What a fool. If you didn't obstruct me, you would have been able to live a little longer. I want to see Leon's crying face without any delay, so I will kill you soon. Kazarium was about to finish off Benimaru while laughing evilly. Kazarium was merry because of his strength and ability. He was completely convinced that no one can oppose him. Certainly that it's a strong ability. It might be not weird for Kazarium to think so. However, it could be said that it was a too foolish act. Kazarium was convinced that his ability is the strongest and doesn't have weakness. Therefore, he was too overconfident with his ability. That's why he didn't notice. His attacks didn't do any damage to Benimaru. Aura. How's that? Moreover, Kazarium was getting carried away. Shut up. The fist that Benimaru threw hit Kazarium's face. Buboa. Just with that one blow, it had robbed most of Kazarium's consciousness. Buba, ha, a. Kazarium turned his gaze to Benimaru with his eyes opened wide in astonishment. While looking like he's pitying Kazarium, Benimaru pointed out the reality. Your attacks doesn't work against me at all, you see. So he said. Kazarium couldn't understand the meaning behind Benimaru's word. That might be so. Kazarium was conceited that he had obtained the strongest power, because until just now, he had stood as the strongest. And yet, that there is an enemy whom his attacks wouldn't work against is something that he would never deem as possible. Don't be joking. What a stupid thing to say. Is that so? I understood. It's a bluff, you must be bluffing. Ha, what a shrewd guy. I won't get deceived by such foolish lie. He unreasonably interpret the fact on his own. Then, he condensed his energy with the maximum output in both his hands, and took a stance toward Benimaru. You're finished. Even if I fall into your tricks, you would be hopeless in front of my absolute power. How unfortunate. A fool won't understand it. Grinning and sprouting a smile, Kazarium regained his composure and felt the reliable power in both of his hands. Well then, goodbye. If you want to resent your own powerlessness. Arc depression, ruler's melancholy. What he had shot out was a dreadful energy wave that could be called as holy demonic wave cannon, which would rapidly exhaust the target's energy. Even with speed surpassing dozens of times the speed of sound, it might be impossible to avoid it, and that sure kill wave was rushing towards Benimaru. But there was no change in Benimaru's expression. With his cherished katana, Gurren, in his hand, he calmly took a stance. Do you know? Speed is power, in other words. Swinging his beloved katana, Benimaru warded off Kazarium's sure kill attack and nullified it with his rebirth flame. He could have counterattacked, but he deliberately held back. Because he was going to kill Kazarium with the next attack. Ha? Ha. Kazarium, who opened his eyes wide to their limits, was astonished. He witnessed an impossible spectacle in front of his eyes and his mind can't catch up with it. Well, such a dull attack of yours can't reach me, you know. In other words, it means that your attack can't affect me. There's one thing I can praise you for, you were certainly superior than me only in the total amount of power. But, if it's about the quality, I'm overwhelming superior than you. Just that. Can you understand it? Then, die. Prominence acceleration. Kazarium's movement stopped as he was too astonished and had entered a panic state, received Benimaru's special attack. The light, which took the shape of an oriental dragon, swallowed half of Kazarium's body while moving as if it has its own will. The quality was exactly like Benimaru had stated. The nature of the released energy was so terrifying, like a tyrant. The reason was because the nihility energy that his adored and respected master, the great demon lord Rimuru, has. Some of Rimuru's subordinates had approached to the nihility nature of Rimuru through the soul's corridor. Therefore, it wasn't weird for Benimaru to offsetting Kazarium's attack, which had the holy and demonic attributes. It was blocked by Benimaru's energy, which superior in quality, and the attack was nullified. Although it can't be compared with Rimuru the originator, as the original was moving in super high speed and had enhanced energy, it was still a finishing move. In all aspects, it may be said that Benimaru was skillful. I still can't control it perfectly yet. Benimaru grumbled. Although he had no complaint about the power, the accuracy didn't go as he wanted. The technique was a technique in which Rimuru instructed Benimaru to imitate cardinal acceleration, which was the ultimate attack of the scorched dragon Velgrind. Unlike Velgrind, who was a high-density spiritual life form by nature, it was still premature for Benimaru to master it, seeing that he had just finished evolving. But, Benimaru's ability was the ultimate skill. Blazing Sun Lord Amaterasu, with light and heat control as the ability's crux, there were still a lot of things which he could learn from Velgrind's ability. Or rather, it's just my guess, but I think I inherited the ability that Rimuru-sama acquired from Velgrind-sama. Benimaru comprehended. And, Zijin, Ranga and the others, might have inherited the ability from Veldora-sama. As for Diablo, that guy seemed to inherit a direct ability from Rimuru-sama. So, he remembered the opponent he engaged in desperate struggles inside the labyrinth for many times. Using the labyrinth characteristic where they can't die, Benimaru and Diablo had performed real combat trainings over and over again. The result was his complete defeat on every match. Aside from places the public can watch, such as the tournament, Diablo never holds back against his opponent. Although it's good that I had a glimpse of the end of his strength, that fellow, I'll beat him someday. Kufufufu. Benimaru felt a bit unpleasant as he remembered Diablo's loud laugh. Benimaru knew about it, but recently Diablo seemed to be considerably feigning ignorance in front of Rimuru. A knife glitters, and the straight sword repels it. An intense offense and defense were unrolled since a while. Each of them made their feints and schemes in order to advance in the fight advantageously. High-level psychological warfare was carried out. While Soy and Laplace were fighting, their fight was interrupted as Kazarium has fallen while being completely scorching together with a roaring sound. By the impact from when Kazarium was flung against it, the hall floor split open and the fragments scatter around. As proof that Kazarium's body was burnt with high temperature, the marble which covered the floor began to melt. Naturally, Kazarium was not unharmed. Half of his body was burnt by fire. It became a terrible sight that normally no one would think that he's alive. But, Kazarium was alive even in such condition. Ah, Nei-san. Laplace was surprised and ran toward Kazarium in a hurry. In such panic as no one would imagine from his arrogant attitude. Even Leon and Co, who were treating their injury while watching the fight of Soy and Laplace, have their movement stopped as they seen the terrible sight of Kazarium. Everyone was able to understand from the mere sight of his appearance. Benimaru won, and Kazarium's life begun to exhausted. Spiritual lifeforms were the people who stood at the top of this world with their tenacious vitality. However, from the moment their mind was broken and acknowledging one's defeat, their vitality quickly decreases and leads to their death. Kazarium's situation was exactly that. Everyone can see his defeat with their eyes. His energy started to decrease very fast. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you guys have not watched my earlier videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And please check out my other channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. And don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.